Hi, I'm Margaret Polly, and I'm the culinary nutritionist for the UAMS Culinary Medicine Program. And I want to thank Healthy Active Arkansas for inviting us to this cooking demo today. I am going to make a holiday side dish that either you can have at home or take if you are going someplace. And it's a little bit healthier than the usual ones. Doesn't have a lot of sugar and fat and cheese. And still, it's very, very good. Now, we know that this is going to be a different year because of COVID-19, so staying healthy throughout the year is very important. And better way to do that than to eat a lot of vegetables, right? So I'm going to show you how to prepare this holiday succotash. And succotash is really just a mixture of a lot of different vegetables. This one has zucchini and sweet potatoes and corn, a little onion and garlic and some tomatoes, and it's really nice and bright because it has some lemon juice in it to season it. Now, this serves four. You could certainly make a larger portion if you want, or a smaller one depending on the size of your family gathering. And you know, this year, again, because it's so weird, you might not be getting together. Perhaps you could do something by video, kind of like what I'm doing here. Or you could, if you can't get together with a couple of family members, maybe get together with a couple of friends that have also been playing it safe during this time. So let's start on this. I'm doing it here so that we have a better view of what I'm doing. It's a little tight over by my stove. So we are going to first start with heating up 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And we're going to add a 1/4 cup of red onion. And we're also going to add about 1 cup of diced sweet potato. Now you could certainly buy this already diced up. Usually it's not the sweet potato that's diced, but it's the butternut squash. You could use that as a substitute. And while that is starting to cook, I'm going to go get my spoon. So with the exception of the spoon that I forgot, I did do something that we call mise en place. And that's just French for everything in its place, or put in place. And that is a wonderful cooking technique that helps save time. And we know at Thanksgiving or any other time, so often we just don't, it seems like we get so busy, and when we start cooking, we forget something, and then a lot of times, and I've done this myself, where I've forgotten to put an ingredient in the dish, and that I didn't realize until afterwards. So if you do little mise en place, or just setting up your workstation or your kitchen first with all your ingredients, like I've done, it works a lot better. So this has to cook for about 4 minutes, and while that's cooking, I'm going to take some lemon juice, and it's about it's about 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And I use freshly squeezed, but you can always use the stuff in that little plastic lemon. They call it real lemon. It is real lemon. I just happen to have some fresh. What I want you to realize, please use what you have. These are all items that normally, I mean, you probably do too. I have a tendency to have cherry tomatoes, and that's just a little water there, by the way. I usually have cherry tomatoes and garlic and onion. I have zucchini, sweet potatoes, usually in the pantry. So this is something that can come together really easily. You can also buy some of these frozen, some of these items, and those chopped onions that are already, they're chopped and frozen. I love those. That is a big time saver. Another thing you could put in, perhaps, some of those frozen baby butter beans, or baby limas, I think they also call them. That is something that you could add to this, and that would make it interesting as well. In fact, I've always seen succotash usually with a lima bean of some sort. So this is this recipe can, like I said, could easily be doubled. So we're going to let that cook a little bit. We're going to cover it so it does cook a little bit faster. And let's talk a little bit about what you can do to be safe this holiday season. because it's getting colder and maybe people are going to be staying indoors more. In that case, make sure if you're going to get together, maybe you have some windows open. If it's warm enough, you could sit outside. I'm lucky enough to have a deck where I can sit outside, and it's nice and comfy. The other thing is, when people come over, make sure there, a lot of hand washing is going on, sanitizing your hands, wear your mask whenever possible. It's not just to protect you, it's to protect the other people. And when you're serving your food, maybe have one person in charge of serving everybody instead of serving family style. These are all recommendations from the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, and again, it's not meant to be hard on anybody. What it's meant to do is protect people. So. And I know it's been hard. I mean, I love to cook and I love to have people over, and I've really had to limit that. So I totally understand everybody's frustration, but let's hope that we can get through this together very quickly. Maybe it's a time to start new traditions as well. Perhaps, like I said, have that Friendsgiving if you can't travel to your family, and make sure it's people has also been playing it safe. Maybe instead of having that big meal that you would cook before, if you're only having a few people over, donate some food to your local food pantry. They can certainly use it. There are a lot of people that are out of work and that need that little extra boost. Okay, after all, this is Thanksgiving is about giving thanks, and we give thanks for what we have, and it's what I've always appreciated about people in Arkansas is that they always give back. They're very very good about helping others. All right, so that's cooked for a bit now, and we're going to next add in the zucchini. So this zucchini it was just 2 small zucchinis, and I cut them in half lengthwise and then made little half moons. Now you can certainly take these and chop them smaller, just like I did with the sweet potato, if you like a little more uniform shape, but I think this just gives it more interest. The other thing we're going to do is add in the garlic now. Sometimes you put garlic in too early, it can lose its flavor, okay, and it can also burn. So and burnt garlic is probably the worst flavor. So go ahead and throw some more, put that in. We're going to add a little bit more water, about another tablespoon. I just have my water handy right here. Okay, and we're going to cover it again. Let me give it one more stir. Now this is a dish that comes together very quickly, even with the prep work, and I love quick dishes for, especially for holidays, and but this could certainly be a weeknight meal because it's so easy, and or side dish actually. But this with a nice piece of chicken, after the holidays, it's a very healthy addition to your meals. Okay. And sometimes we get stuck in the same old thing. I mean, I know that when I would have Thanksgiving with my folks, we had the same thing over and over and over again, and that's okay. I mean, it was really like I come from a family of some pretty good cooks, but it was nice to have someone else bring a new dish and something that wasn't so heavy. And especially at Thanksgiving, I think people think that it's not about just stuffing the turkey, it's about stuffing yourself. It's kind of the old joke, right? And, you don't have to overeat at Thanksgiving, for sure. Definitely take part and enjoy those items that are very traditional. Maybe you have your grandmother's apple pie. If you can't make it, if she can't make it to the celebration, maybe you could she can send you the recipe and you can make it yourself, and then enjoy it, because that's something that's special and you don't have it very often. But if it's mashed potatoes, you can have mashed potatoes anytime. So I know a lot of people worry about overeating at the holidays, and just being very mindful of how much you're taking in, how much you're eating, getting a little exercise. And when I say exercise, I just mean taking a walk instead of sitting down on the couch and watching football. But whatever works for you, okay? I think if you can have one or two healthy dishes at the dinner table, the rest of the meal isn't all that bad, really. I mean, the turkey's nice and healthy. Usually you have a lot of vegetables, but again, this is a vegetable that you can serve that doesn't have a lot of cheese or fat, or even salt for that matter. So let's see. Now we're going to add the corn, and this is frozen corn. You can use fresh corn if you like, but this is frozen, and it's just as healthy as we know. Frozen foods are picked at the peak of ripeness, and then they're immediately frozen or preserved. So it's probably even better than the stuff you'd find on the supermarket shelf that's been there for a while. Now, if you're lucky enough to grow your own, that's wonderful. So we're going to add the corn, and then we're also going to add the tomatoes. And this is just kind of a mixture of tomatoes that I had in the fridge. And then we are going to add a little bit more lemon juice. And this lemon juice, again, just brings a little bit of brightness to the dish. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell this, because it smells heavenly. Now, if you wanted to, you could take tomatoes that, like plum tomatoes, the bigger ones, or a regular sized tomato, and chop it up and put it in. You just have to realize it's going to be juicier. I don't think I'd put canned tomatoes in. That would change the flavor a bit, but you could also use yellow squash instead of the green zucchini. So that's cooking. We are going to next, that's going to be cooking for about 3 minutes. It actually says uncovered, so I'll take the cover off. It's going to let those juices kind of thicken a bit and evaporate. So I'm going to take some parsley. Now, the recipe calls for fresh herbs, but I know that's not always going to happen. Plus, fresh herbs are crazy expensive sometimes, aren't they? I'm lucky enough I grow my own, and almost out because of the holiday, the winter weather coming, but still have a little bit left. And I just take the really thick stems off the parsley. You can also use, put a different flavor in there. You could use some basil. You could use maybe some thyme. I like thyme. I wouldn't put anything really hard like like rosemary or sage, because that sage is a little bit, I think, is a little strong for this dish. And the rosemary would be, you really got to cook that. It's kind of woody. So any of those softer herbs, you just want to chop it up just very coarsely. It doesn't have to be a fine mince or anything. You could even just tear it off if you wanted to. Now, if you don't have the fresh herbs, you could use the dried, but this calls this calls for the fresh. And if you use the dried, make sure that you use half the amount, because because it's dried, it's got all the water sucked out of it, and it's going to be the flavor is going to be very concentrated. That's the word I was looking for. So if you go and you use 3 tablespoons of, say, Italian seasoning mix, that would be way too much. And one thing you probably have noticed, that I have not put any salt in this. And the reason for that is, one, I tend to cook a very healthy Mediterranean style, in a healthy Mediterranean style way, which is lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean meats, things like that. But the flavors come more from the herbs and the lemon juice and the garlic, those and onions, the aromatics. Okay, you can always add a little salt at the end, but you can't take it away. So, and once you get used to not eating a lot of salt, you will go out to eat someplace and say, "Oh my gosh, there's so much salt in this. I can't eat it." So I always tell, I'm a dietitian. I do counsel people on healthy eating, and so sometimes I'll say, please just give it 2 weeks. Your taste buds can change, believe it or not. Okay, and that's not a bad thing. We get way too much salt in our diet, right? And many people, have high blood pressure, and so their doctors tell them to, cut back on their sodium or their salt, and that is just, but how? So you're learning a technique right now how to do that. So, all right. So that's cooking down, and it smells so good. Now, I'm going to put my herbs on top. And I'm going to taste it because I want to make sure how much salt it actually needs. Okay, so let's see what it tastes like. Doesn't need a lot. I'm going to put in about half a teaspoon and then some pepper. Some people might use Mrs. Dash. That would be a good thing to put in too. That is a non-salt or no salt seasoning. So there we go, and we're going to just sprinkle a little bit more of that lemon juice on top, and we are done. I mean, that took less than 20 minutes. It's a beautiful. Let me show you. A beautiful, beautiful side dish that you can be taking to your Thanksgiving celebration, having it at home, even making it and giving it to a friend, okay? This is a time to give thanks, and I'm very thankful for all of you. Stay safe, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.